As the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. This saying is absolutely true. Now, on the last two episodes, we have been focusing on the topic of parenting. And this week, we want to take this topic a notch higher as we come to the conclusion. We are going to look at parenting on children with special needs. Hello and welcome to Family Matters, a program designed to look into and solve problems affecting families. I am your host, Timothy Omondi.
Can you find help? Probably have social support, probably have a house help.
If you have tried everything, like I say, and nothing seems to be working, now you need to get professional help. The child needs professional help. That is now, and it helps to know that there are people who can help, professionals who can help, so that when you don't seem to be getting anywhere, that you look for help.
It's important to have parenting classes. Right now we have a lot of media influence that you can have as much information as you want from the net, from books. Get involved. Learn a lot about what you're going to handle. But take this point. It doesn't mean it might work, but it means you're keeping an open mind with your child as the main beneficiary. You want the best for your child, so you'll try and get the best for your child without damaging them. You want emotionally healthy children because they're our next leaders.
Will the routine be interfered with if there is delay? For example, you won't go for break unless you've finished your numeracy. Break is also very important for the child, right? So by making the child not go for break, don't you think it's not a win-win situation? It's, I don't know. Are you getting my question?
And that's why I said you look at what ticks for every child. Because as a child, you will tell them, if you don't finish your work, then you won't go for break. And that child doesn't care about break. There's that child who loves football so much, such that if you deny them time to go and play football, it will be disastrous to them. So you have to know what ticks for every child. And even your own children at home. You need to learn them. No, this is so-and-so likes this, so and so doesn't care about this, and you reward or you deny lots of privileges of what they like.
Once in a while, it's good to spank. Once in a while, not, as she's saying, it's not an everyday thing. That every time you've not done your homework, I hold up my arms and we're fighting. You've not fed the dog, we're fighting. No, it's when it gets serious, you've crossed the line. Because sometimes, children today do not listen to their parents. I know better than you. What are you telling me? You tell me feed the dog, why can't you do it? So if you cross that line, you get it.
I have said many times and talked to many groups, punishment is not good. It may be easier than dialogue because you do it and get it over with, but it's not as good as dialogue. As far as a child is old enough to listen and to reason, it's better to talk to a child. When a child is a baby who cannot reason or think, too young to reason, now spanking is okay. Like a baby is playing with fire. He doesn't know that is dangerous, and he can understand if you try to tell him. So spanking at that age is okay. But when someone is old enough to reason and to listen, it's better to talk, because punishment has a lot of disadvantages. Number one, it will make a child devise ways of avoiding getting caught instead of changing. It leads to rebelliousness. Children will become rebellious because of resentment or you may even destroy the child in the process. So the child, feels rejected and hopeless. So you may correct one behavior, but must destroy the child. And therefore, the question is now, what's the use of correcting one behavior if you destroy the whole child? Then again, children can get used to punishment. And once you get there now, okay, he or she is ready for it. Now you will get to a point where you will plead with him or her, please, let's sit down and have a talk. At that point, they say, forget it, it's too late. Once they get used to it, well, now what do? So that they get to a point where they even act like they miss it. So it is not a good way, especially in today's society.
It depends. If it's a beating, then it shouldn't be like that, the hard beating, because you should be able to limit to the gravity of the punishment you're giving. Yeah, because some will say we accept, some will say we don't accept beating.
Most of the things that used to happen for us when we were small is a lot of don'ts. Don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, what are you doing? Those are a lot of criticism, and what that does to the child is kill their curiosity. When you kill the child's curiosity, you kill their learning abilities. So you either get a very withdrawn child or a child who's a non-starter because they're afraid of making mistakes. We are trying to hinder our child from making small mistakes, like when they're playing. Their children, let them play, but in a secure environment. When you shout at a 3-year-old, don't, the first thing you're doing is kill their child wonder. And that creates a lot of issues for them when they grow up. It teaches them how to become emotionally inhibited, not show their feelings, which with time give birth to other mental illnesses like depression. So be very careful when you're telling your child, don't. The alternative we give to that is positive affirmation. Stop noticing what is not happening right and start noticing what is happening right with your child. What are they doing right? As opposed to don't, listen and first try and understand why your child wants to do that. And you tell them, well, let's say it's Anne. Anne, I understand that you want to play in the dirty water. However, I will not allow that because, one, you might get ill.
Basically, we usually say that the first school of a child is your home. Basically, that's why you're here, better parenting. And most of the time, a child will come and utter a word to you and you're like, ma, yay, you know. But when you look closely, that is a word that is used at home. You know, when you get mad, probably you're not even communicating to your child. You're communicating to somebody else over the phone. All right, then you get so mad and you say you are so used all the F words you can think about. So when the child comes here, when he gets mad, he tells F, and you're wondering, okay, so at home I'm going to ask these parents here, try and use kind words also, so that...
It's true.
Yeah.
Try and talk to the child with their language, not an adult. 0 to 18, as much as teenagers we think they're adults, we have to remember that they are growing and they're actually not adults. Sometimes we expect a 3-year-old to reason like a grown-up. They can't. They are learning their world. So try and think from their point of view and try and remember how it was to be small. You are not always an adult. You were once a child who wanted to find out things. But what we lack nowadays is that sometimes we don't listen. We just criticize and we kill our children's intelligence by doing that.
We should not preach water and drink wine as parents. If you are going to tell your child don't steal, you need to actually show it by example. And not even stealing, let's go to the simple things like lying. You tell your child, I don't expect you to lie. And then when a neighbor comes and mwambie siko. That's a lie. You need to teach them by them seeing it, you do it physically, perform it so that it becomes an imprint in their spirit.
Remember, we said the parent, the teacher, and the peers. So we need to work with the parents, we need to work with the teachers and the other children, because children will also copy. So if a child misbehaves in class and the teacher does not control that behavior, then the others will copy. And before you know it, you cannot control the class. So the peers, the teacher, and the parent. And that's why the last topic is on how parents can interact with the teachers. Because a teacher who knows that the parent is always getting in touch and following up, they will also take keen interest on your child, because they don't want you asking, how was my son today? And then they ask, what's the name of your son? So a parent who will scheme with the school teachers, the teachers will also be keen. So the parent's responsibility, you must do your responsibility. Let's be open to new ways of parenting, ways that can work. When you combine all these things, when you combine praise for the good things, reward to shape certain behaviors, to get the behaviors you want, ignoring tantrums, using timeout. Remember, we are here to see loss of privileges and logical consequences and natural consequences. So there are so many things you can use to shape behavior. The cane should be the last resort if it must be used. So let's be open. Let's not just say this is how I was brought up. Again, we've seen parents passing wounds to other generations, thinking that is the best thing they can use. Again, our generation is different. Generations are changing because they are watching a lot of international things. They are exposed. Your children here are doing international system.
The times have changed, and it's high time we realize that our kids are facing different issues than when we faced. When we grew up, we didn't have so much technology as we have right now. Our kids are exposed to more, and we're also exposed to more knowledge than them. So at the end of the day, when our parents were bringing us up, they did not have all the influence of civilization as we are having it right now. And they did not have the challenges that we are going to face right now. Our kids might even know more than what we know, depending on what media they are using.
So they are living a totally different life from what most of us went through. Do you agree? Yes. Your children here are doing an international system. They are given homework, they'll go and search on the internet. They watch international TV. Most of our children are using cable TV. They are watching DSTV. Most of the time, the music they listen is not the Kenyan music. Am I right? Yes. So can you continue parenting the same children the way you are parented? No. So let's be open to new ways and see what can help with our children. When the society seems to be breaking down, then we need to analyze where are we going wrong.
We've had a very great session organized by St. Austin, and among the things we've realized is beating and spanking is not one of the only rules that you can enforce in the home. But obviously we can set up rules and we can use rewards and incentives. We've also learned that you can have a timeout just for the kids to cool down and come around. But the most important thing is that we've learned as parents, we need to set very good examples. We need to bring our kids in a warm environment, in a loving environment, and to be firm. Obviously, spanking is an African thing, and we still have it at the back of our minds, but we can use it in a light mode and reasonably.
It was a very good session about parenting. You know, parenting is a class. You need to learn these things so that we have a better generation, a better future for our children. You know how to deal with them. You know how to train them to be better people. You know, even simple things like teaching them how to use the loo, teaching them how to dress up. It needs training, and most of the time you get angry, get worked up. Yes, it's a very easy thing if only we can use positive attributes. Then at the end of the day, you should also remember that each child is different, and we must handle each child differently. What will work to David is not what is going to work for Danson.
Some few strategies that you might want to take into consideration for children with special needs could be: focus on a child's ability. You can always start off by telling people about what your child can possibly do, but spend majority of a conversation sharing the likes, progress, and what he or she is able to do. When the child is diagnosed, the family should seek to know if and when to tell people. You could encourage them to share the diagnosis, give them some information about the condition so that they are informed and could answer some of the questions. Be respectful. Like I said before, your child's village is made up of a lot of individuals. all have their own ways of accepting this unexpected turn of events. Some of them turn to religion and prayer for comfort. Others look to us for guidance, and many just accept things after seeing how happy your child is.
Nasimamia upande wa usafi ya watoto, nafua, naosha chini, hasa mimi upande wa usafi. Wako wengine wanaongea, wengine hawaongei. Sasa ule haongei anasikia.
When people ask us questions, we should treat them as opportunities to raise awareness and educate. I found that questions usually are inspired by lack of knowledge. Yes, even the offensive ones. Instead of getting offended, steer the question back to what is appropriate. And if you're not comfortable answering a question or don't know, just be honest.
For example, you can be brought a child who is, let's say, 30 years old. This child is mental retardation. Or you have been brought a child who is cerebral palsy. And then parents are requesting you to make sure that that child stand up and walk to be normal again, without knowing that a cerebral palsy child who is born with cerebral palsy in him or her, it is just the brain damage. There isn't much we can do apart from physiotherapy to them to exercise their muscles not to become very stiff. And then we can't assure the parents that we have that ability to make their children stand up and walk or do what a normal person is supposed to do.
Today they come in, they're very happy. In 2 minutes time they're sad, and in another minute they're crying, and in another one they're so joyful, jumping up and down. So we have to try and moderate their mood swings, and we also have to try and be able to understand them, not condemn when you see them reacting in a different way. So sometimes they get to a point where they're violent, and you have to restrain that in a good way and in a proper manner.
Saa zile amekosa, amefanya kitu, amepiga mwingine, pengine na teke, sana sana wanapigana mateke, mikono hazina nguvu. Hazila amepiga mwenzake teke, utaenda unamsimamia, unamwambia tu, we, unajua umekosa? Umejua umepiga mwenzako? Mwambie pole. Utaona kama anafanya kichwa hivi, utajua amempigia nini? Pole. Wengine ni wakubwa, kuna madharau zao. Anamuona saa zingine kama unamuongelesha, anajidharau tena yeye mwenyewe, anajiona ati ananiambia hivi mimi ni mlemavu. Juu sasa zile unamwambia hivyo, unajaribu kumwambia na upendo pia. Kumrudisha karibu, yani muongeleshe hadi acheke. Alafu naachana naye, najua ameridhika.
You find a little bit difficult when you try to contain them and they don't want to calm down. You have to wait for their moods to come to a certain level, like a compromising level with them. So it is not as easy as it can be said, but it is something that can be contained. What it needs is patience and a big heart. If you don't have a big heart and patience, you cannot exercise the daily duties that I do, plus other teachers in other places, because that's the essential of it all. You just can't start hitting them or throwing them out of class or throwing them out of the compound just because they behaved in a certain manner because of this and this. So you don't condemn the condition. You try and retain the best side of the child. At the end of the day, they have to learn. So that is what you look at. And you have to know how best to bring out that learning out of them.
Children with cerebral palsy are children with the brain damage. There isn't much I can tell you they can do more in education, that is. Unless if you just try your best, you put them in these units. And then the school also has very, very severe children. Can't tell that we can take them to any regular school daily. Yes, we had one Brian Simiyu. He was a cerebral palsy but was physically, was profound. Not that severe because he was able to write using a computer. But the ones we have now are children with muscular dystrophy. A child with muscular dystrophy that's an inherited disease from their family. There isn't much we can do to that child. Just helping him in vocation, making sure that they eat well here in school.
When we find that a child has special difficulties, because we have things like conduct disorder, a child who is always in problems, even the teacher knows that when the class is making noise, so and so is in the group. When children disobey, so and so is in the group. So we have children with conduct disorder, and those ones, we even have schools referring us to evaluate when a child has difficulties. Is it just the environment at home, and the environment is mainly the parent? Is it something in the child? Because we have children suffering from attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, what we call ADHD. So the child is hyperactive, the child lacks attention, and so you realize a child who lacks attention, as a parent, if you don't look at them in the face, when you're giving the rules, they will not even understand or even register in their brain that there's something you've told them to do. You've sent them to go and pick something from you. They didn't register in their brain. Not because they are disobeying you, but because they lack attention. So when you have children with specific issues, you need to bring them for assessment.
You know, you look at the diversity of all that you can be able to teach out. If she wants to be outside, you can use the compound to teach. There are so many things she can count. You know, there's so many words that she can write. Yeah, give her the chalk, fill the whole place. You don't give the comfort zone of you as a teacher teaching. You give the comfort zone of the learner's interest. And you see, that's what most teachers don't do. You want to do the best way in class. They all have to be seated in a certain way, but some defile that, and it's not them. It's what is in them. That's not their university. It's just like us. You know, you say, well, I'm more science than an artistic person. Well, I'm more practical than a theory person. That's why I want to do engineering. I don't want to do law. You see, because I have so many books to read. So that's exactly what I did. That was like in 2007, and I said, I think this is where I want to land in. I want to take the role of these children. I want to be their parent. They can call me their mom anytime, you know. I want to embrace them and help them. I just don't want to deal with us who think we are normal. I want to help these ones feel normal.
Kids with special needs also require more attention, and it takes a little bit more of patience. But it's something that can be done with discussions with the child and ensuring the rules are maintained and upheld. It can be done. It's possible. With the Lord also, it's possible.
Then finding workers to work with children with disability, it's very hard. You can find that in our center we have 4. Simply because a person comes today, tomorrow looks in the kind of the children is going to handle or she's going to handle. She sees like this is a bad omen in the society. And then most people say that it is a curse. Most people say it's witchcraft. So sometimes we feel very, very, very discriminated from the society. We people who are dealing with children with disability. Worker just woke up one day in the morning, packed her own things, and she leaves. Those people who are remaining back, they have a question mark. Why? Why are these people discriminating children with disability?
Ya, kama mchungaji na pia niko na shauri na zawapea hawa watu ficha watoto wao kwa sababu wako na shida fulani. Mara kwanza nataka kuambia hakuna mtu jiumba. Hata kama watu wengi usema wanakulaumu labda ni kwa sababu ya dhambi gani ulitenda, una laana fulani, lakini Biblia nakumbuka Musa aliumbwa na Mungu na Mungu aliprotect Musa, lakini Musa hakuwa anajua kuongea vizuri. Na wakati mmoja Musa akitaka wakati yule Musa alikuwa anataka kutumwa na Mungu kumtumia, Musa alitoa excuse ama alitoa sababu nyingi kwa sababu hawezi enda, hawezi ongea mzuri, na Mungu akationa nilijua Mungu ndio umba kila kitu. Mungu akasema mimi ndo nafanya kiziwi, mimi ndo nafanya mtu asiongee, mimi ndo nafanya mtu aongee. Kuongea kwangu, kuongea kwako, kutongea kwangu, yote yatokana na Mungu. Lakini watu wengi wao wanafikiria nitaambiwa hivi ni kwa sababu ya hii. Na unakuta kwa sababu watu waamini Mungu siku hizi za mwisho, wanaanza kuhukumu watu wengine kwa sababu hawana imani na Mungu.
To the society, it saddens me that up to date, where from ancestrals in 1950s and in centuries like 1900 centuries, we still have that stigmatization following these children. Whether we like it or not, they're part of this society. The earlier we accept that, the better. They are growing in numbers every day. New statistics are coming out every day, you know. And if we keep on saying that we seclude them, we stigmatize them, you know, we secrete what they're doing, they're not a part of this society. We're trying to lie ourselves because they are a very big part of this society. They are the majority, actually. Let me say so. In every family, most of these days, you find that there is a child like that. So us condemning them, we're actually not helping ourselves. We should join with the countries that have been able to overcome, like in the US, in the UK. Let's learn from them, you know. Let's learn the new technologies they have used. They have hospitals. They have allowed these children to go to school for free, you know. They have allowed them to get access to the therapy centers. That is what we should be doing, helping them rather than condemning them.
Wale wanafungia watoto kama hawa kwa nyumba sio vizuri. Ni mtu kama wewe. Na saa zile umemfungia kwa nyumba, maybe angekuwa baraka zako kama ungemtoa nje. Na umemfungia kwa nyumba. Haieleweki, maybe unaenda kupata mtoto, wamemleta hapa amejishipuka upande. Haieleweki. Sasa unajua vile tutamtengeneza hapa polepole ndio mwili yake itafanya nini? Itarudi sawa. Ndio kwa ajili naambia wale wameficha watoto kama hawa kwa ndani ya nyumba wajaribu kutoa nje.
Ya chochote kimejitokeza haikuangi ni shida tena. Lakini ukificha itakuanga ni shida, itakuuma mpaka hata inaweza kupea stress. Watu wengi wanapata stress kwa sababu. Lakini ukitoa nje ni kitu wa kawaida. Biblia inasema hakuna kitu mgeni duniani. Hii ni kitu ilikuwa. Umeelewa? Kwa hivyo hao watu wote, kama uko nyumbani unanitazama, tafadhali kama uko na mtu aina hii, kitu wa kwanza nataka kuwaambia, usione aibu, kwa sababu hata ukiona aibu, uko na aibu ile kubwa ni kuficha. Ndani unafikiri unaficha aibu, lakini hiyo ndio aibu. Hiyo aibu ndio kuficha. Lakini uweze kwa sababu ikupatie amani. Lakini kuna suluhisho nyingi, tumeona watoto wengi wamejitokeza na wameona usaidizi.
Recently there has been a lot of awareness that is being created on special needs, and now people are accepting them to be part of society, but you find they are in other areas, especially rural areas, where they are still not being taken to be part of a society, and they are still locked up in homes. Basically due to the fact that also raising children who are special needs is also expensive, considering that some are destructive, and also the medication that they take is also expensive, and they are not accepted in schools because they seem not to be constructive. So such things are the ones that make the parents to maybe lock them up at homes, or lack of awareness on where to take them, take the children, and the fact that most of them are not able to perform tasks that are regarded to be of by other people. So you find that they are not accepted, but we are trying, the people in the field, to make sure that these people are integrated in society, and they become meaningful in society and have something to do.
There's so many therapy centers to be around with. There's so many hospitals that offer good help at cheaper rates. At Gertrude it's only 300 shillings, you know. There is SAP, that is a special education program in Gertrude. When you go there, you get your child assessed for free, you know, and if you have something to pay, is very little. And at the end of the day, you get the right income in terms of input for your child now, because if your child is assessed and you're told they're diagnosed with autism, then you're able to be told what to do and what not to do. You meet parents also who have gone through that, what you're going through. They will tell you what worked and what did not work.
We encourage the parents to actually seek the services of a medical doctor to make sure that if the child needs medication, Like those who have epilepsy, they are on the medication. Those who are hyperactive, they are put on medication. Those who need special schools, they are advised on which school to go to. So it is a broad management that as much as the parents are the core caregivers, this child might need even physiotherapy, they might need occupational therapy, and so it's a broad management. The parent needs to accept that they have a child who has special needs, and they need to accept it positively. Know that God has given you this child with a reason, and God knows that you are able to take care of this child. Because if you don't accept that, then it will become very challenging to take care of such a child.
Bwana yu karibu na waliovunjika moyo. Mungu tupatia hali za kutuvunja moyo hawe karibu na sisi. Kuonesha wakati niko karibu na Bwana ni baraka ama ni laana? Ni baraka. Na basi kama ni baraka kupitia hii kuvunja moyo, ugonjwa wa Lazaro huko wa mauti, mbali jina la Mungu lipewe sifa, kwa sababu watu wana imani na Mungu, watu walimtupa Mungu, wanaweza ficha watoto kama hawa. Wakati Lazaro alikuwa mgonjwa, Mary na Maria na Martha hawakuficha. Kuna magonjwa mengi duniani, lakini kama jina la Mungu linaweza tukuzwa kupitia hii ugonjwa, basi huo hizi wote ni baraka. Bila sema mambo yote yafanya wema kwa wale wampendaye Mungu.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q.
Parenting by itself is not an easy task. However, the character of children could also determine the difficulty of the task.
Q, R, S.
We meet a lady who does not only act as a parent but also a caregiver. The reason? She has a child with special needs. She explains how she has honed her parenting skills through the parenting clinic.
At first, I was in denial, especially when I was told Michelle, will not be like other kids. She would need a lot of care. I was in denial. I could spend months and years crying. I could not, accept it.
See the sun shining in the window. Time to start a new day. Can't you hear?
Ashlyn, today is Michelle's day. Michelle. Yes, baby. Before I went to the clinic, it was a bit hard for me to discipline Michelle, being a special baby. And it was also hard for me again to discipline her because I thought she was so young for beating and stuff like that. But when I went to the clinic, to Dr. Catherine's clinic, the sessions were very useful to me because I knew how I can discipline Michelle in a manner that I won't hurt her. And what I learned is that because at times Michelle is irritable, I learned that when she wants to do things her own way, I can always distract her in a peaceful way, distract her in so many other things, distract her either by, talking to her or carrying her around and without necessarily beating her. I also didn't know whether there are schools for such kids. But this interaction with people opened my eyes, and I knew that I can get a school for her where she can learn a lot, where she can feel at home, where she can interact with other kids.
There are so many avenues for them to look at. There are so many experts out there to be able to help them in what they are actually doing with their children. But most of them feel like they're condemned by the society. They feel like they're condemned by their classes they're in. Because I'm of a certain level of a class, I don't want to expose myself like this parent who has a child with a disability. So we end up using the wrong methods in trying to help in a situation. We find out that we have already gone overboard or out of the way. For example, you find a parent doesn't follow the right diet, and that diet has something that consists inside the behavior of that child. Maybe too much sugar in it, maybe too much gluten and caseins involved, and that trigger some of these emotions in these children. So what I will tell parents is they should come out, meet these experts. They are nutrition experts, they are psychologists, they are neurologists, they are counselors. Meet with them, they're the education experts, Come out there, let your child be assessed, let your child be known that he has this condition. Then from there, you can be able to treat it, you see. It cannot be cured, but it can be maintained, yeah? Just like when we go to the hospital, you're told you have malaria, then the process can be start for your healing. But if you stay in the house and nobody knows what is your condition, you see, I cannot be able to come and help you. You have to come to me and tell me this is what I'm going through. Then I can be able to start telling you then the procedures of this are this. And this is how I can actually help you all the way.
I mean, parents who have special kids, first of all, to accept their condition. Once they accept, everything runs smoothly. They accept it, they love their baby more, they create a lot of time for them, they take them to school so that they also get a different environment. Yes, and be there for their kids. Don't lock up your kids in the house. You are doing a lot of harm to them when you're locking them in the house. They will grow hostile. They don't know what the environment has for them. They need to be taken out. These kids need to socialize with other kids. They also need to feel part of the environment with the other kids. But when they lock them up, they do them a lot of harm. They grow hostile, you know. They don't know what the outside environment offers to them. But when they take the kids out, their mood changes, actually. Their mood changes. They become joyful. They even know that they are loved, rather than just putting them in an enclosed environment. It doesn't help them.
As we come to the end of our episode today, we have been looking on the topic of parenting for children with special needs. One thing I'd like to remind you is when bringing up this kind of children, we should involve the community. I'll give you an example of the Camp Shriver started by one Peter Wabuhala. It has brought positive change in the lives of parents with children who have special needs. And we hope that by doing this, you also will make your life better and the life of your child. Until next time, thank you very much for joining us on Family Matters. If you have any comments, suggestions, or opinion, you can reach us through SMS sign, that is 8550, or you can send us an email on familymatters@gbskenya.com. Until next time, I've been your host, Timothy Omondi. Goodbye, and God bless you.